Yo, what's up, guys? This is Midnight Wabbit, and welcome back to some more Borderlands 3. Today, what I have for you guys is my level 50 max level endgame Flak build. Flak was the first character I played. It's only the character I've played so far. I'm probably going to do Moze next, or maybe Amara, I'm not sure. Zane doesn't really seem that interesting to me. I mean, I'll still play him eventually, but we'll see. But anyway, I'm going to go over the gear I use and my skill tree. So we're going to go over the skill tree first, and we'll talk about some of the gear I use, because some of the gear will make more sense once you see some of the skills I have. So we're going to start with this orange skill tree. This is the one I have maxed out. I think, in my opinion, the green pet, the Jabber, is the best pet you can have. You can see my Jabber's name is Franklin. He has a little SMG. And if you hold down the action skill button while you're targeting an enemy, he will pull out a rocket launcher and fire like 4 shots at him, which is pretty cool. I think the green pet, in my opinion, is the best. But the first skill tree I would go down would be the green one, and then I would respec once you have enough to do both. But we're going to talk about these skills first. So this is all for survivability. So Flak's maximum health is increased, and you constantly regenerate health. So 1.5% of max health per second, which is pretty good. I put one into this. I think that's actually for my class, but I don't even think I have one there. I'm not sure. But handling and gun damage are increased after shooting an enemy. I'm not sure. I guess it stacks 10. Okay, so it stacks 10 times. All right. But overclocked. We got overclocked right here. Flak gains increased fire rate and even more fire rate after reloading. So plus 10% fire rate after reloading, and plus 10% fire rate lasts for 4 seconds. And that's with 5 out of 5. And I have a couple for my class mods. I only have a few points in there. But that's what I did was I got all my BFFs. Allies share a portion of Flak's total health regeneration just because I was playing with a friend and it kind of helps. And my pet gets twice as much health regeneration. My friends get 50% of my health regeneration, which is still pretty good because Flak gets a lot of health regeneration. Now, Lick the Wounds is good if you're playing solo. When Flak is in Fight for Your Life, your pet will revive you. Now, you'd think this skill would have a cooldown, but it doesn't. Like in past games, when they have stuff like this, it'll always have a cooldown in it. But in this game, it just doesn't. So the pet can revive you multiple times, even if you just go down immediately. As long as he's alive. He has to be alive, obviously, to revive you. But when you're moving, I regenerate health and gain damage reduction. And while I'm still, I gain gun damage and fire rate. So that's a pretty good skill. Turn the tail and run. The fire rate while still is 12%. Gun damage is 25%. Damage reduction while moving is 17%. And almost a percent of max health per second. Put a couple points in this one. Whereas if an enemy has no target or is attacking a different target, I deal increased damage against them, which is really good if you're playing co-op, which I have been. And also, while I'm above half health, because of all the health regeneration, I'm above half health a lot. My gun damage and movement speed are increased. So I get 25% bonus gun damage, which is pretty freaking good. Now, these skills right here, for the action skill, I use Fade Away, where I cloak, go invisible, and I can fire 3 shots while cloaked. Each shot is a guaranteed critical hit, no matter where you hit them on the body, no matter what the weapon is. Even if it's a rocket launcher, it's a critical hit. And you gain increased health regeneration and movement speed while you're cloaked. Now, also bonus critical hit damage by 200%, which is really good. Now, this skill right here, Unblinking Eye, it doesn't cost a skill point. You just have to invest enough points into this skill tree to get it. Unblinking Eye, basically, successive hits on the same target increase Flak's critical hit damage per hit. It resets every 3 hits. 75% per hit. So that goes up to what? 225% bonus critical hit damage, which is absolutely crazy. And the thing about this skill is I'm not positive because I can't tell when it's working, but there's no indication when it's working. But it seems like as soon as I activated this skill, it felt like I was doing a massive amount of increased critical damage just even when I was not in my action skill. So just all the time. Like, even though it's an action skill augment, I feel like it works all the time. I don't know if it's intended to do that, but it definitely feels like it does. I'm not sure if that's intended by Gearbox or if that was an accident and it's going to be patched. So it only does it in your action skill. Either way, it's still a very good skill to have. It doesn't cost any skill points. It's one of those augments that you put right there. The other one I have is health regeneration and movement speed persists for a short time after the skill has ended. So it lasts for 10 seconds afterwards, which is pretty good. I got a kill skill here, Rage and Recover, where me and my pet regenerate health for a few seconds. 3.2% to be exact, with just 2. With just 2 points in there, I get 3.2%. So if you can find a class mod that boosts this or something, you can get quite a bit of health regeneration. Now, I don't put any points into the blue skill tree. That's all about increasing the pet's damage and stuff. But I don't really find that to be that helpful. I prefer this skill tree. So, Leave No Trace. This skill, honestly, I think this is one of the skills. It seems very underrated, and people don't really think about it that much. But this skill, with the build I'm using right now, this skill could be nerfed, honestly. Like, I could see it getting nerfed, just the chance of adding ammo back. Because 36% chance with just 3 points in there. If you can get a class mod that boosts that, you can get even more percentage chance. But every time I score a critical hit, there's a chance for 1 ammo to be added to the magazine, thus not consuming ammo. Which basically means I can spam things like... Well, I'll show you. I'll show you which weapons I can actually spam on bosses and stuff to do an inordinate amount of damage. It's actually crazy. But... let's move on to the other skills. So we got Second Intention. When Flak kills an enemy, they gain increased reload speed, and with a critical hit, it's even more reload speed. Now, I got 7 out of 5 here because I have 5 points, but I also have 2 points from my class mod. So I got some good class mods that I'll show you guys as well when we go over the gear. When I score a critical hit, there's also a chance that my action skill cooldown is reduced, thus allowing me to score more critical hits, which cannot consume ammo, and this whole skill tree just synergizes really well together. Plus, it increases the damage of my critical hits excessively, which is absolutely crazy, increasing my fire rate when I do have to reload. I get bonuses when fighting different types of enemies also. Critical hit damage versus humans, 30% armor damage versus robots, and damage reduction versus beasts. Now, this would be a good skill to have. I don't actually find it necessary because most of the weapons I use have pretty quick fire rates anyway, and I don't really want to fire the extra projectile because if it does it instantly, it might cancel out my ammo regen. So I don't really use this skill, but the Tufang can be, I guess, a good skill to have. This is something that Zero had in Borderlands 2, where every time you fire a shot, it has a chance to fire an extra projectile. So we got Big Game. My hunter skills are more effective and have a longer duration. So duration plus 100% and plus 30% effects, which is pretty good. Another kill skill here. When I kill a badass enemy or stronger, I get increased critical hit, gun damage, and handling for a long time. It lasts 2 minutes. Absolutely crazy. I get 10% critical hit damage, 25% gun damage just for killing a badass. And I get cash reward on kill if I kill a badass enemy or stronger. Get increased gun damage and action skill damage. I only have 2 points in that just because I wanted to get the Keystone skill down here, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it is very, very good to have, but I find that there's other stuff that's more important. I may respec this and actually go into this instead of this one because I don't really find it to be that helpful, but we'll see. I deal increased critical hit damage, and enemies are less likely to attack me. To increase critical hit damage, this basically is a critical build. So, get ammo back for critical hits. Critical hits reduce my action skill cooldown, which allows me to get more guaranteed critical hits. And then increase critical hit damage, and Megavore is probably one of the best skills in the game. Very underrated. Flak gains this chance to score a critical hit with weapons against any part of an enemy. Any kind of weapon. This works just like his action skill. 20% chance for, except it works all the time. So you'll see me scoring constant crits even when I'm using a flacker. It's because of this skill. I have a 20% chance, so 1 in 5 chance of getting a crit with every projectile that's fired. That includes, even if a gun fires multiple projectiles, each projectile has that 20% chance to get a crit, which is really, really good. So let's talk about some of the gear I have. So, as you can see, I'm focused on a critical build mostly. So we got some really good stuff here. We got a level 50 masher, which is basically a shotgun revolver. For those of you who are not familiar with Borderlands 1 and how it works, if you didn't play Borderlands 1, but you did play Borderlands 2 or the pre-sequel, it's very similar to the Maggie revolver, which is I believe is times 6. This is times 5, so it's a slightly less damage, but it's overall more damage than a regular revolver of the same level. And this one happened to have a melee attachment as well, so I don't really find that useful, but maybe once I level up a Siren, I can do some more melee damage. That'll be quite a bit more useful to me. There's some other stuff. Unforgiven with the massively increased critical hit damage, but slower fire rate is good for taking out weaker adds. But with the critical hit damage, I can use that with my action skill or the Megavore skill to score a lot of critical hits. If you watched my Queen's Call video, then you'll know what this gun is. But this gun is from the final boss of the game. This and the King's Call, they're both identical. They just come in different elements. Right now all I have is cryo and corrosive that are at my level. But there are other, I think I've gotten all the elements in the past. We got the Quatomizer rocket launcher from the Rampager. Made a video on that as well. I will link all these down in the description below for all the gear that I use that I actually has a drop rate the drop place that I've found. The Quatomizer is good for getting second winds. It fires 4 projectiles, but it's either radiation, fire, or corrosive. It's random. So you can't really control it. It's kind of random on what it does. This weapon I just kept because it had lifesteal and it was an armored weapon. The Occultist is pretty good. I'm gonna be making a video on that probably tomorrow. But it's a pretty good Torgue pistol. It fires a spiral of fire projectiles. It's always double penetrating, but it only has 1 projectile, which is kind of weird. I don't know why that is. And then my main loadout over here, I'll switch between the masher and my second flacker. I actually use 2 flackers. I have my shotgun ammo maxed out, so it's not really an issue. But I have 31% shotgun damage here, and I have 17% more shotgun damage there. The shield doesn't really matter. If I did have one, I would use the rerouter, which is an amp shield that heals you for the amp damage and also gives you 120%, I believe it's 100 or 120% bonus amp damage on the first shot, even though it drains 30% of your shields. So I would definitely use that for boss damage if I had one. I've actually never gotten one in this game. So we'll see. The grenade doesn't really matter too much. Don't really get too much bonus grenade damage on this character. I'm just using either the Firestorm or the Nagata. And the Nagata is very good. I'm making a video on that tomorrow as well, either tomorrow or the next day. But let's go over my main build here. So I'll switch off between either the Masher or this Companion, depending on who I'm fighting. This thing is very good for flak because, as you can see, it ignites enemies on every single critical hit. A little bit bonus critical damage there, but massive magazine size. But it doesn't really matter because if I'm scoring critical hits, I'm not consuming ammo a lot of the time. So, actually, the one thing I didn't cover about this weapon, the Queen's Call and the King's Call, are very good because they return 3 ammo to the magazine, and it consumes 3 ammo per shot. They return 3 ammo on critical hits, not kills, hits. Plus, they spawn 3 seeking projectiles that do splash damage, and they are massively powerful. These come in all elements. They're very, very good. They're very strong. And you can actually stack the ammo. The 3 bullets plus the 1 bullet you get from the skill in my orange skill tree, I forget what it's called, that returns ammo. If that procs, you can actually get more than 3 bullets back. So you can actually get 2 shots back for firing 1 shot with this weapon, which is insanely good. Moving on from the Companion, which is really good, like I said, for flesh enemies, because with all my skills that get me random critical hits just whenever I feel like it, I can just ignite enemies, and if there are no shields and they're flesh enemies, they're going to be taken out very, very quickly by the fire damage. This thing is one of my main boss DPS weapons, the Hellwalker. I believe it is always anointed. I've gotten 4 or 5 of these, different levels, but they always seem to be anointed. And the one I have right here, weapon status effect damage and chance are increased by 75% for a short time. Consumes 2 ammo per shot with only a 2-round mag. It's a Jacobs shotgun, like a breech loading shotgun. And this one I got a increased reload speed prefix, which is good. So I got plus 35% reload speed, a bonus weapon damage and critical hit speed. And and I'll show you guys some gameplay of this. And I don't know, I would love to know where this comes from so I can make a video on this, because this is a very good gun. Because basically, even though it only has a 2-round mag, as long as I'm getting critical hits, a lot of the time I don't have to reload. So I can just keep spamming critical hits into a flesh boss like Tyrene or the Grave Ward. And it just absolutely melts them. It destroys them. It's crazy. This is my primary DPS weapon for flesh bosses bosses that don't resist fire damage. It's really good. I got 2 flackers here, like I said. Now the flacker, I'm not sure where it comes from. Let me know if you guys have gotten one. I've gotten a lot of them, a couple, I think 3 or 4 from Tyrene herself, the final boss, and I'm wondering if that's its actual drop location. Although, compared to the number of King and Queen's calls I've gotten, the flacker is not dropping anywhere near as much. So I'm wondering if this is just a really rare drop, or if she just has a high legendary drop chance, which she does, and this is just randomly dropping for me. Now, this one right here I actually got from Kilovolt over in Electra City. So I'm wondering, maybe, I know he already has a legendary drop, so I don't think it comes from him, because he's not a main boss. Usually the side bosses only have like 1 drop each. I also have a radiation one. I'm not sure which elements it can come in. I've only ever gotten explosive, or the regular explosive one, and radiation. This is the only radiation one I've ever gotten. I'm not sure if this thing could come in fire, it would, or corrosive. It would probably be better for boss damage than this. But this thing, as of right now, for flesh bosses, if they have a large crit spot and you can hit all the projectiles, all 10 projectiles, this thing is just, it's absolutely insane. And yeah, we got some good class mods here. So I got bonus critical damage and weapon fire rate, bonus Jacob's damage and overall weapon damage, corrosive resistance and Jacob's critical hit damage there. Quite a bit of critical hit damage there. 25% weapon damage overall, 29% pistol damage. And that one's for Zane. I actually don't know why I still have that. I meant to transfer that. But anyway, that is the build that I use on Flak. Like I said, let me know if you guys, and like I said, I'll switch between the Masher. If I'm not fighting flesh targets, I'll switch out one of these two weapons for the Masher because it's absolutely ridiculous as well. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below real quick. And I'm going to show you guys some gameplay real quick of me fighting Tyreen with this build and just absolutely annihilating her. And this is on Mayhem 3, by the way, where they have like 150% bonus armor, health, shields, all that. It's absolutely crazy. And how much damage this build does. So if it was on normal mode, I'd probably like two-shot her, to be honest. But anyway, hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. And if you did, please be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. Subscribe if you have not already for more Borderlands content. Let me know what your Flak build is if you have any, or if you have any good builds I should try for other characters, because I'm going to be starting a Gunner or a Siren soon. And if you guys have any good builds for that, definitely let me know as well. I'd love to try out your builds in the comment section down below. Leave me any comments that you have, or comments, questions, concerns, anything like that. And I will talk to you guys later in another video. Peace. Goodbye, Franklin. Franklin says peace.
You have my thanks.